about this lighting. I don't know what to do. It is like literally the stormiest day ever. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to talk about all the things that I read in October. And I actually read a lot, but I discussed most of them in other videos. So there's only a couple things that I haven't talked about, but let's get into it. So the first thing that I read was Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wayne Jones, which I read for the like TBR veteran video concept that I did, where I read the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR, the books that I've wanted to read for the longest. So I read that one and I ended up giving it 3 stars. Howl's Moving Castle is probably one of my favorite movies, if I really had to think about it. And I think maybe because it's so special to me and I just loved all the characters and the magic within it, the book just didn't do it for me. And I know that the book came first, but it's just one of those really rare instances where then I feel like they took it and they made a better movie. So I knew that things were different between the book and the movie, but I didn't expect them to be that different, and I just didn't get like the same feelings that I got while watching the movie. So it was kind of a disappointment, but I am so glad I read it, and I do still think that it's a decent book. And yeah, it's just 3 stars. Then I read The Wicked and the Divine Deluxe Edition Year 1, which is volumes 1 through 11, I believe, and I also read that for the TBR Veterans video. This was a 3 star for me as well, and I just feel like about it. I loved the art style. It's not an art style that I particularly would have normally gravitated towards, but I really, really liked it. So that was surprisingly pleasant for me, but overall just But I do think I'll continue. I think I'm going to pick up, my library actually has Year 2, which is like the next 11 volumes, so I think I'll read that. And then if that flops, I won't continue. But it's just a really complex world. There's so many characters, and I felt like it was kind of a lot, all at once. But I think as you get to know the characters, maybe it just like makes a little bit more sense. The plot also felt a little like all over the place for me, so I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna give it another chance. I'm gonna continue. Also for that video, I read Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, which I also gave 3 stars. I feel like John Green's writing style never really misses. Like, I really, really like his writing style even as an adult. I enjoyed it as a teen, but even as an adult. This book in particular, while I loved the representation, because there's really good OCD and anxiety representation, as somebody who has both, I can say the representation is amazing. But the plot itself of the book I felt really lacking. I felt like there nothing really happened. There was this like mystery background kind of, but I just didn't care about it, and it was random and unnecessary, honestly. So there was this spiel that was supposed to be going on, but it just didn't work. So 3 stars. Also for that video, I kind of killed it in that reading vlog. Like, I read a lot for that video. I read for that same video, I read Every Day by David Levithan, and I gave this 2 stars. Oh, I actually have this one. The first half of this I loved. Like, I tabbed a lot. I made a lot of annotations. Like there were a lot of things that I, at the beginning at least, kind of had, to say and to mark down. And I thought that there were a lot of good quotes, and I really enjoyed it. But the second half just sucked. Like, it went from a 4, possibly 5 star, just straight into like, well, a 2 star. I did really like the writing style, but honestly, it was super insta love. The main character, A, falls in love with this girl, Rhiannon, and he falls in love with her, but she's like not 100% reciprocating, and yet it's just like so pushy and insta love, and it's borderline like kind of fucked up and kind of gross, in my opinion. I mean, I could go on about this book forever, and I do in that reading vlog. So if you feel like listening to my thoughts, definitely go check it out, but not that big of a fan. Finally, I read Coraline by Neil Gaiman, which again, one of probably not one of my favorite movies actually, but a movie I really, really enjoy and usually watch like every year or two, around like Halloween time, but I've never read the book. So I finally, was in the mood for something kind of spooky, popped on the audiobook, and I hated the audiobook. I loved the story, really enjoyed Neil Gaiman's writing. I know he's obviously like a renowned author, but I don't think I've ever read anything from him before. I could be wrong. No, I don't think I have. And really like the writing style, but the audiobook sucked. There were these random interludes of like singing, which I get, but it was just really distracting. There were these like instrumental moments, and it was really distracting, and there were just like things I did not like about the audiobook, so I don't recommend the audiobook at all. I ended up giving this book 4 stars, but I think had I read it physically, like a really cool, maybe like an illustrated edition. I've seen a couple of those around. I've seen some people have those. I think that it could be and has the potential to be a full 5-star for me, because I do love this story and I think it's really interesting, but the audiobook just wasn't for me. So this is like definitely going to be a reread, but I'm going to use a different medium and just, try to switch it up and see if my feelings are different, because I loved the story, but I was like dredging through the audiobook. Then I read Neon Gods, which is #1 in the Dark Olympus series by Katie Robert. This is a smutty novel about Hades and Persephone. I ended up giving this, what did I give this? 3 stars. I thought that it was good, but to be honest, this is like a smut novel about Hades and Persephone, who like, that's like already an intense situation, mythologically speaking. How would you word that? I don't know. Like, not the person to ask. But, it's supposed to be like this smut, and to be honest, I cared more about like the political dynamic, because there's a big political element in this story that talks about the split up between like Zeus and Hades and like all of that, the underworld and everything like that, and that the way that this book writes about it and retold that dynamic was really, really interesting to me. But the smut itself, like, I didn't really care. I didn't think that it was steamy. There were definitely like okay moments, but I didn't really care. And about their relationship, like, I didn't really feel that big of a connection, but I kind of wanted more of like the backstory about like the politics. But it is pretty like smutty. It's definitely like rated X. I don't know. It's like pretty dark, but it does focus pretty heavily on like politics in the background and stuff like that. So if you were looking for like just like a really light smut, I don't know why you'd be looking at Hades and Persephone, but this is not it. Then for another video, I read a 24-hour reading vlog, readathon, I guess, where I just read spooky graphic novels to get in the mood for, fall and autumn. And so I'll just go through those super quick. If you want my full thoughts, I will obviously leave the video up above and down below. The first one that I read was Murder Book, a graphic memoir of true crime obsession by Hilary Fitzgerald Campbell. I give this 1 star. I thought it was really gross, and I go off on a tangent in that video, so if you want to see that, go check it out, because honestly, I just felt like this was really disgusting. She barely mentioned the victims or the people actually getting murdered. She talked about how sometimes she fantasizes about being murdered, and she goes off to say like, oh, people are so, it's so weird that people are so obsessed with like Ted Bundy because he was like a conventionally attractive man, and all of that. And it's like she criticizes it, but then she kind of goes and does the same thing. So I didn't think it was funny. The art style was all over the place. Panel design was just an absolute absurdity. Like, it was just not good. Then I read Censor by Junji Ito, which is his new, I believe, graphic novel. And I gave this 3 stars. I don't even want to say it. This is the first Junji Ito that I have not given a full 5-star. Junji Ito is the master of horror manga, and this just didn't do it for me. As always, the panel design, he always sticks with just a classic panel design, and I love it. And the art style is amazing, as always. Like, obviously, it's like top tier, super spooky and creepy. Brings out some phobias that I didn't know I had. But the plot on this one, the actual story itself was really, really bad, and he even admits that. And that's what I finished the book, and I was, I was sitting there and I was like, man, disappointed. Flip to the next page, and there's this like afterword where he talks about how he is kind of disappointed in the story, and he, would love to rewrite these characters and these ideas over again someday. He says he felt like this piece is similar to a bus taking off without everyone on board, and he said that he's not super pleased with it. So, I mean, if he even feels that way about his own work, I'm assuming, he was working on it and there was some sort of, deadline or contract thing, would be my assumption. Kind of sad, but nonetheless, like, if this is considered his worst work and it's still like a 3-star, that's pretty fucking impressive. So definitely still gonna pick up more from him in the future. He has a lot of things coming out. He has a lot of backlists that I haven't gotten to yet, so I am obviously he's still like an auto pickup for me. And I read Sheets by Brenna Thumler. It's just a cute, spooky middle grade graphic novel, and I really enjoyed it. Not much else to say. I gave it 4 stars. Not like in a rush to pick up the sequel, Delicates, but probably will someday. It was enjoyable and super cute. I also love the art style on this. The tones, the color tone choice was just amazing and so vibey. So it's a good one. Then I read The Witch Boy by Molly Ostertag, which I gave 4 stars. Also another one that I'm not in a rush to pick up, next in the series, but I definitely will someday when I'm in the mood to. I just thought this was really cute. It's about a witch, a boy witch, if you can tell. And yeah, I just thought it was a lot of fun. Again, full thoughts in that video. Then I read Through the Woods by Emily Carroll, which is kind of a spooky fairy tale graphic novel, kind of themed. I gave this 3 stars. It was a good read, but it was nothing super special. I definitely expected from, reviews that I've seen, read, and seen that it was going to be a little bit more spooky, but it just wasn't. It just, there were like maybe 2 that I enjoyed, but none of them even were scary. People were talking about like, you were to sleep with the lights on after reading this and stuff. Like, maybe I'm immune, but I just didn't get those kind of vibes. And some of them I didn't even find super spooky, but I do like the art style, and I think this would be a cool one to have on hand. But just like a 3-star for me. I definitely hyped it up too much. I think had I gone into it not ever seeing reviews, I didn't seek them out, but I had seen them. But I think had I not ever seen them, I maybe would have, had a different mindset about it. So I think maybe if I, wait a while, give it another chance, knowing what to expect this time, upon reread it might be different. Then, again for that video, I read Something is Killing the Children, volume 1. Did I just read volume 1? I thought I read book 1. I think I read book 1, because I definitely read more than 1 volume. But I gave this 3 stars. Art style, super, super cool. Again, not one that I would have expected myself to like, but I ended up really enjoying it. It's a very Stranger Things-esque. It's like these monsters are coming and something is killing the children. Overall, just not like an all-time favorite. It's just like a 3-star, I think. 3-star. I might continue. See, this is one where, as with The Wicked and the Divine, that's one I'm definitely going to give another chance and pick up, year 2 or book 2 or whatever. But this one, I'm not like really killing to pick up book 2. So I'm still kind of iffy on it. There might come a day where I'm like, I just really feel like giving that another chance, or, reading something with those vibes. But like right now, I'm just not like in a rush to. But it was still solid. Then I read You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. And this comes out November 9th. So it comes out in a week or so. And this is not my most anticipated. I listened to this on audio. I got the NetGalley audio arc. And I was just severely disappointed in this one, which sucks because, it's diverse, it's, hard-hitting and, meaningful, impactful. It's a debut, and I love supporting authors' debuts. I like the writing style. I'll definitely pick up from him in the future. It is, like, definitely not like a cutoff. It's still, a 2-star. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't really enjoy it much. But I liked the writing style. There were definitely moments in the story where, it's heartbreaking and it discusses grief a lot, and I liked the way that it discussed grief, but there was a disconnect. Okay, my camera died, but I just wanted to finish this video because I have like 2 more videos to or 2 more books to talk about, so I was like, I'll just finish this on my phone, so I hope you don't mind. Anyways, with You've Reached Sam, I just didn't connect. That's what I was saying. With a hard-hitting, YA contemporary, I feel like you really need to connect to the characters. You need to, because that's the main plot. There's not a lot else going on. It's about these characters. It's character-driven, and this was 100% character-driven without fully fleshed out characters. So that, for me personally, made me like, what am I supposed to care about right now? So it was a little bit difficult. I definitely expected more from it. I wanted more from it, but like I said, it was a great, exploration of grief, how different people deal with grief, and I really, really enjoyed that, and I thought it was, honest and truthful, and I think it'll help maybe a lot of people. And I did like the writing style. Like I said, this is definitely an author that I'm not like shooing out. I would definitely pick up from him again. I would definitely check out his sophomore novel whenever that may come, but this was a disappointment for me. Then I finally got to read the Bromance Book Club 1 by, who is this even by? Lissa K. Adams. I gave it a 4-star, but I said probably more of a 3.5, but Goodreads is still lacking. This was honestly just a lot of fun, in my opinion. When I think of romances that I personally think of as like favorite romances, first thing that comes to my mind is like, People We Meet on Vacation, even One Last Stop, The Hating Game, Kiss Quotient. Like these are books that, in my opinion, are just, I really love. I swoon over that romance so much. With this one, I wasn't as swooned. I wasn't as like in love with these characters as I feel like I was supposed to be, but it was still just a lot of fun. I wasn't super, super swooned, but it was nice to see. It's about this married couple and this guy learning how to kind of like romance his wife again, and kind of care again and bring that spark in again. And it was a cool concept for me to see an idea about a couple not getting together, but already being together, and then almost breaking up and learning to stay together and learning to have that growth together and put in that effort again, and kind of get back to like the roots and the honeymoon phase, and falling in love with each other. And I thought that was really, really cool and really sweet to see that kind of turnaround. It was obviously corny, it was obviously like cheesy, but that's why I read romance, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Not like a new favorite, but it was a lot of fun. I definitely can see like why it's so hyped. Then the last thing that I read in October was Survive the Night by Riley Sager, which I gave 2 stars. I am surprised that I only gave this 2 stars, but then after reading it and reading all the reviews, I am not surprised that I gave this 2 stars, because that seems to be about the average rating. It was like when you're watching like a horror movie or a thriller movie or something, and you're like yelling at the TV about people to not do like dumbass shit, and then they always do it and they like die and they're like dumb, That was this main character. She did everything you're like not supposed to do in a scary situation, and yet she's like supposedly this like 90s movie buff. Well, it's set in the 90s, but she is supposed to be like this movie buff, and yet you would think, right, if you've seen that many movies, and I get like, honestly, there aren't a ton of horror movies back in the day, but fucking enough. Are you kidding? By the 90s, by 92, and this girl is supposed to be a movie buff. It's her whole identity. It's her whole personality. It's her major in college, and yet she does all the dumbass shit that the main characters in movies that you like get mad at them for doing. So you'd think she would learn something from movies. I've learned so much about what not to do from horror movies. Yet it's just like, also that ending, I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it because spoiler, obviously. But that ending, like, why? If you know, you know. But like, why? Why does there need to be that in a thriller? You know what I mean? If you know, you know. Okay? Anyways, 2 stars. Hated it. Hated it. If that was the first one I ever read from him, I don't know if I would have picked up like his work, to be honest, because it was just so bad. Like, it was, overall, it was fine, but because of how dumb the MC was, just, yeah. Anyways, not good. So this was like the longest wrap up in, honestly, like all of existence. But I read so much, and I actually read more when I was, you know, trying to get into like the spooky vibes during my graphic novel reading. I also read some kids books. Sometimes if I'm like feeling down, or I just need, you know, I want to read some things but I don't want to commit to a full novel, I'll pick up some kids books. You know, nothing makes you feel better, you know, than getting back to those childhood memories. And some of my favorite childhood memories are me just reading, because that's the life I led back then and now. So it just takes me back. It's really good, feeds my inner child. So I read some kids books as well, but I don't know if that's something to discuss on this channel or not. You know, it sounds weird, but like I don't know if that's something everybody would be interested in even, but I read a lot of kids books. Let me know, but and I can start talking about them. But yeah, I read like 4 kids books as well. So I read a lot in October. Thanks for sticking around through this long ass ranty wrap up. If you want more details on all these books, then definitely check out the other videos that I posted this month, and all my reading vlogs and whatnot. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.